Even though we're approaching November and we're in the middle of our winter arc, it's never too late to hop on board, be consistent with our goals, set our intentions, and go all in these last 2 months of 2024. My name is Denise, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll be talking about how to reinvent yourself the last 60 days of 2024. If you don't know what the winter arc is, it's pretty much just like, it's honestly a new term that I've heard just recently this year. But it's all about how usually when it comes to the winter time, people tend to lose focus and kind of just slow down on their goals. The winter arc is coined to really do the opposite of that, which is to really go all in and to keep that momentum going for the rest of the year. So that way you're going into the next year with a new foundation, a stronger mindset, just a complete reinvention of yourself. First thing you're gonna do to reinvent your life is to really sit back and evaluate and reflect on where you are at the very moment. When it comes to anything just goal related of what you want to achieve, it's really important to sit down and reflect of how far you came so far and really position yourself to figure out, okay, like how else can I improve or change or pivot in a sense to really get me to where I want to be. Sit back and just evaluate, what's working for you, what's not working for you when it comes to your career, your lifestyle, relationships, finances, your hobbies, whatever the case may be for you. You want to really just sit down and reflect on what it is that you want to improve on and just take note of that. Maybe write it down in a journal and a notebook and really figure out, okay, I want to focus on X, Y, and Z for the last 2 months of 2024. That way, when you're writing it down, you actually set that intention that you're actually going to put steps towards it and take action towards actually achieving that set goal. So just take account of where you're at and figure out how you want to move forward. As you guys know, if you watch my other videos, when it comes to you going after your goals, it really all starts with just creating healthy habits. I have a whole video about creating healthy habits. If you're interested, I'll link it right above. But I think just incorporating healthy habits in your everyday routine is very important to really becoming the person that you want to show up as. Healthy habits also kind of just helps you instill that discipline that you need to really go after whatever it is that you set out to do. But again, having those healthy habits and also just reevaluating and seeing where you're at in your life is really going to help you just reinvent your entire life before the new year. The second thing to do to really reinvent yourself before the new year is to form a new identity. This means coming up with new mindsets, getting rid of negative limiting beliefs that no longer serve you. This means changing the narrative and whatever story that you made up in your head, whether it's a negative one, and really changing it into a more positive perspective, right? So for example, if you're someone who really wants the intention of putting yourself more out there for the new year when it comes to maybe just getting over your fear and do something new for yourself, a narrative that you can be telling yourself is that I'm not confident enough to do that. I'm not social enough to do that. I'm not charismatic enough to do that. Instead of honing in on that, whatever negative limiting belief that you have for yourself, really turning those negative limiting beliefs into a story that's serving you. So again, this comes with saying affirmations about yourself, like, no, I am a confident person. And I'm not used to being a social person, but that doesn't mean I can't learn. That doesn't mean I can't learn to be myself and still make friends and still make connections, right? It all starts with honestly just forming a new mindset. So when it comes to just really forming a new identity, you really want to make sure that you are being intentional about how you show up as yourself in the world. Because again, the stories that you tell yourself, you are going to inevitably believe. So it's all about just changing the story in your head to really serve you and your purpose and whatever that is for yourself. So when it comes to just forming just healthier mindsets, it all comes down to just, like I said, changing the narrative in your story, also reading affirmations. I think also just being honest with yourself, right? Like I said, like you may be someone who's an introvert, like I'm an introvert myself too, and I'm not the most social person, but in order for me to make connections, I have to really put myself in situations to meet new people, right? So it's like, I have to tell myself, although I'm more introverted, I'm still gonna take this opportunity to network with different people. I may be a networking event, a career event, and me showing up as myself is enough, and that's okay. Imagine who you want to be as far as the future goes and act as if you are already that person, right? When it comes to just like changing identities is to show up as the person that you want to be. So what healthy habits does this person have? Like, what did she eat for breakfast? What did she eat for lunch? What did she do in her spare time? What did she do for her careers, her hobbies? Like, what are her friendships like, her circle is like? Is she disciplined? Is she, X, Y, and Z? Like, you're going to be so detailed when it comes to writing your list of your new identity and really hone in on becoming that version of yourself, right? So honestly, I kind of see it as a video game, if that makes sense. Like, I'm like, okay, how can I turn myself into this person who has this fashion style, who has this confidence, who has X, Y, and Z, because I want to become that person. And when it comes to like desires of our heart or whatever, I feel like a big part of us wants to be those things that we want in the future because there's already a future version of ourselves that's already living that. So I feel like that in itself is a really great way to remind us and encourage us that like we are capable of becoming that new person, right? You want to be someone who has healed their trauma, someone who has gone to therapy, who's working through their issues, who's working through, getting a new education, whatever the case may be. You want to make sure you're stepping into that version of yourself as if you're already done it. It's all about just listing the qualities and characteristics that your higher self and your future version of yourself that you want to have, and really using today to embody those characteristics, because that's what's going to really take you to that next level. The third thing you're going to do to reinvent yourself in 60 days is to evaluate your relationships. I feel like when it comes to just goal setting or just like, you know, productivity and discipline, I think it's very easy to think of those as being the most important things, just kind of like focusing on those. But I think relationships have a big part to play as well when it comes to just being the version of yourself that you aspire to be. Like, our circle has the power to really influence us, whether, you know, good or bad. So it's really important to evaluate who we have around us and also take account of what are the friendships that I want and that I need for myself. That means, you know, having the self-awareness to understand what your needs are. Like, do you want friends who also are intentional, evaluating your needs, figuring out what you need for yourself, figuring out what you want in your friendships, and making sure we're in spaces to where we feel uplifted, we feel loved, we feel valued, we feel cherished. Because when it comes to the winter arc and just the winter seasons, obviously it gets colder outside, it's sad seasons. Having just toxic energy around you while you're also going through a transitional time, just environmentally with the seasons changing, it's not really going to do you any favor as well too. So it's like, you really want to be intentional about who you keep around you, because it can affect multiple things, right? And I can go in more detail for a different video about just friendships in general, but I think, again, like, very important to know what friendships are serving us versus what's not serving us. And I think when you kind of use the last 2 months of the year, the last 60 days, to really evaluate and set more boundaries and become more clear about what you want for yourself when it comes to your relationships, it becomes a lot easier to step into the new year with a new profound confidence. You're able to step into the new year without having just, you know, people who are anchors in your life, if that makes sense. I think Michelle Obama, I read it in her book like maybe a year ago, but it's about having a kitchen table of people who support you and uplift you. So I definitely challenge you guys to really visualize having a celebratory night for something that you achieved and accomplished. Think about who would show up to your kitchen table and celebrate you and support you and value you and love you during a very, very important night for yourself, whether you're celebrating a new job, a new project, whatever the case may be. Evaluate and see for yourself, okay, who would show up to celebrate me and support me? Certain people don't come to your mind, let them go. You don't want to go into this next season with just baggage and just with people who aren't supposed to go into the next phase of life with you. People really have the potential to really hold you back when it comes to just going after your goals and going after your dreams, because not everyone has genuine intentions. And when it comes to just friendships, you really have to evaluate to see who belongs in your inner circle, who belongs as an acquaintance, who belongs in the low maintenance tier. Like, you really have to evaluate and sort people as such, because it's really going to be detrimental to going after your dreams and becoming a new version of yourself. The last thing to do to reinvent yourself is to reflect and celebrate. I think it's a really great time to sit down after the winter arc to really see how far you've came. Just be able to just reflect on the progress that you've made. Because I think it's really easy to feel like you're not really making any progress, but I feel like taking note of how you were in the beginning of the challenge versus after the challenge will be very helpful as well too, to keep you encouraged for maybe next year's, you know, winter arc. I think it's also a great thing to really use that time to reflect, so that way you can see what areas that you want to continue to improve on or grow on. And it gives you the opportunity to also reflect and prepare yourself for the new year when it comes to maybe creating your vision board or creating whatever goals that you want to set up for the next year. Again, like I said, like, we don't realize how much progress we're making when it comes to the end of it. So I think just really taking note to track our progress over time will show us that we were getting at least 1% better each day, whatever it was that we set our minds to at the beginning of the winter arc. So just really celebrating yourself and giving yourself your flowers and really patting yourself on the back for being able to even have the confidence and the willpower to even work on improving your life and becoming just a better version of herself the last 2 months of the year. That's gonna keep motivating you and pushing you to be just a higher version of yourself when it comes to the future. And that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed a couple of tips and tricks of how to reinvent yourself the last 60 days of 2024. For my own personal winter art challenge, I've been focusing more on like content creation and also just like finding community and being more involved with just different things in the community. I am documenting my winter art challenge over my TikTok. I am working on becoming a paid content creator as a multi-passionate creative before 2025. So if you want to keep up with my journey, make sure you follow me on TikTok, where I'll be posting all of my videos of my challenges, sharing things that I've been learning, and also just advice as I go on my journey along the way. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for another video next week. Bye.